Welcome back to Werewolf, Heart of the Forest. After our initiation in the last episode, which didn't go as planned, we are entering chapter 6, The Storm. Dust to dust. It was one of those blistering summer days when the asphalt melts, the grass withers, and the air smothers those brave enough to step outside. Despite the heat, it felt like the whole village was at the funeral. I was there as well. I stood there, surrounded by the grieving crowd, looking at the rosaries they clutched in their fists. It was surreal. For a brief, chilling moment, I thought I saw Anya's face among the crowd. But no, I buried her in the burrows myself, and nobody there even knew that she was dead. It was someone else's funeral. Anya was not the reason we gathered in the churchyard. The body of a hunter had been found in the forest. The circumstances of their death were unclear. It was our doing. My doing, and the death had tipped the scales. Since the deaths, I'd started seeing shadowy figures, their faces flickering in the corner of my eyes. Were they just figments of my imagination, or my own pack of hungry spirits following me, waiting for my mistake? I could feel the tension seething around me. This death, this funeral had pushed the community, already wary and frightened by the recent disappearances of an activist in the forest, to the edge. The world was watching. The press had swarmed to the funeral like flies. They were reporting on how the illegal logging was a danger to both the ecosystem and human lives. The police had cordoned off the funeral and were aggressively searching and detaining any activist they noticed. It had become political. Suddenly, Białowieża had become politically charged and the hottest place to be in Poland. And it wasn't only local politicians and activists from both sides who'd caught wind of the commotion. The Minister of Environment himself had driven to Białowieża to attend the funeral. He was standing next to the priest conducting the ceremony, surrounded by police and what looked like a handful of bodyguards. The coffin went down and the crowd stirred. Everyone started lining up to throw a handful of dust on the coffin or put flowers on the grave. I found myself face to face with Bartek. I got swept by the crowd and found myself face to face with Bartek. There should be another coffin here, because we both know that she's dead. He looked me in the eyes. I really liked Anya, you know? I froze. It must be hard for you, she was your friend, he said. But don't worry, I will find out what really happened. Oh man. I didn't know what to say. Bartek looked me in the eyes. Funny thing, it's like all the strange things started happening as soon as you all came here. I looked over his shoulder at the crowd. It was clear that many people felt the same way he did, and the minister knew how to use that sentiment. I listened in disbelief. As the priest handed him the mic. After 30 seconds, I understood very clearly whose side he was on. He spoke at length about the Polish economy, the importance of the free market, and the liberty of the people to make money from what God had given them to reign over the earth. Judging by the reactions, it was exactly what the crowd wanted to hear. Although it mostly fills his pocket, not the pocket of the people. He was trying to escalate. I realized the conflict was only going to escalate. He was determined to push on with the logging. We were determined to stand our ground, even if the forest had abandoned us. Did it? We were ready to defend ourselves. The last stand. It was high noon. The sun was at its most merciless and the world was almost white with heat. The air smelled of herbs, bark and tree sap. Insects buzzed lazily in the high grass, stunned by the summer sun. Do I already want to rage up? I'm missing 1 health already. Let's set up first. The day was stifling as we set up the protest. The whole clearing was decorated with banners and we all had our placards. "Wood is the enemy of the forest" was our main slogan. But there were many more. Really? That's all you could come up with? What? I wrote something constructive. Make the whole Puszcza National Park, demanded my son. Yeah, that's a good idea. Isn't it already? Isn't that the reason why the logging is actually illegal? Maybe it's not a national park, but just, I don't know, an environmentally protected zone? I really don't know. It was a viable solution. I mean, I don't have an option here. I thought the whole Puszcza would be protected and people could still earn money on tourists. There weren't so many of us, but everyone in the clearing knew why they were there. We weren't the only ones in the clearing. A group of local citizens, their banners reading "Protesters save trees from woodworm" and "Forestry is jobs," were trying to get the attention of the media. The Puszcza was watching us. Every time a gust of wind was bringing the wet smell of the forest to my nostrils, I felt her strong, steadfast presence. She knew that we were doing everything in our power to save her. I thought about my family. For centuries, my family served the Puszcza, burning villages and hunting down people who dared to hurt her. And now I was the last Garou of my lineage. What legacy did I want to leave behind? The pressure was almost palpable, and tempers were flaring. I looked at my pack. "Everyone knows what to do?" Olga asked, looking at my pack. "I'll keep the security guards occupied," nodded Lisa. "And I'll guard the Puszcza's perimeter," growled Daniel. I glanced at the weasels. The weasels were in their positions among the protesters, as agreed. That left the cops to me. We should just kill them all? I don't think that's an option. But I'm ready to fight them. "I'll deal with the cops," I said, "and then we will burn the machines." "That's not the plan," Olga reminded me with a bitter expression. "Keep your eyes on the cops and stay put." "Why do we now burn the machines?" "Don't set fire in a forest. That's just such a stupid idea." The cops were gathering. Now the police is unfriendly. We are at Kiev. The cops were gathering in increasing numbers, and I noticed some SWAT teams joining them. Something was up. It was apparent that they were waiting for something. Then it reached boiling point. When the minister arrived for a photo op. I had a bad feeling about it all. My stomach turned when I saw the black SUVs. I felt my pulse race. I knew he was in for a nasty surprise. The reporters closed in on him, shooting uncomfortable questions about the legality of the logging and his forestry policy. In hindsight, you could argue that what happened next set a chain of events in motion that had life-changing consequences for many. Nice, the press is still sympathetic. But at that moment, I did not know that. I was too angry to realize the consequences. Blood roared in my ears, my mouth was dry, and my palms were sweaty. The members of my sept had already moved to their positions, and I also had my part to play. You only have 2 willpower. Huh. Should we use one here? The question always is, will we have enough willpower to move for the turning point, right? I mean, in case we needed more desperately than now. I thought we don't negotiate. We do have the stats for that, but I don't know if that's a good idea. The press is sympathetic with us, so if we make him look like a fool, we already won, kinda. But yeah, let's go for it. Just look at him, I spat. I want to wipe the smile off his face. Olga raised her eyebrow. If you think there's any chance of getting to him, she smirked, now's the fucking time. She grabbed me by the elbow and literally dragged me across the clearing to where the minister and his people were standing. Yeah, I think, should we think about what to say? I think that would maybe boost our wisdom a bit, which we might need later on to say something worth saying. I don't know. No, didn't boost anything. As we were pushing through the crowd, I planned what I was going to say. I was pretty confident. I had it all planned out and felt quite confident, but Olga had her own plans. Minister, Minister, she yelled, do you have a moment to talk about what's really going on in the forest? I caught his gaze. He looked at us coldly, like we were vermin. His eyes were distinctly dark and lifeless, like a shark, I thought suddenly. No, he said, smiling. We don't talk to terrorists. I wrapped my arms around Olga's chest and pulled her back before she could jump at him. I could feel her body tense, the change already on its way. Not now, not here, I said to her. We'll find another way. Wait, what? That was useless. Again, I used willpower for something that didn't do anything. We went back to regroup. The activists, humans and werewolves alike, listened as we told them what had happened. The atmosphere was tense. We started our preparations. We prepared ourselves for the worst case scenario. Okay, let's move, I heard someone shout. Move it, people, move it. You know what to do. And they did. There was a lot of laughter and friendly pushing, chains clinking, and some people darted up the trees to seat themselves in the branches. Let's not use that last willpower. Although this would have been more important, but then I'm blocked of the consequences, right? Dang it. I helped to form the human chain. Hey, I heard. Get those arms behind you. That's it. Attaboy. It hurts, moaned a man's voice. Next time do some yoga beforehand, huh? That's it, people. Open your hearts so you can hold your wrists behind your backs. What? So I locked my wrists. I threaded my arms through the arms of the people to my left and right and then grabbed my wrists behind my back. It was tight on my shoulders, hot and very sweaty. Then we waited. We sat down, one long human chain, and watched the loggers and police as they approached, and then stopped. We didn't move. A tense silence filled the clearing. The minister looked at us with his dark, lifeless eyes. The police were regrouping and getting into formation. Their shields were ready. They were wearing masks. I could hear the unmistakable sound of a gun being cocked. I braced myself. Fuck, I spat, and then the tear gas canister started to rain down on us. The police came through the smoke like a horde of demons, kicking and beating the protesters sat on the ground, yanking them away and breaking the human chain. I felt a hand grab my shoulder, and I acted on reflex. I bit it. I sank my teeth into the flesh. My mouth filled with blood, and the officer screamed. The final battle. When the real fight began, the adrenaline kicked in and the world split into freeze frames. I changed. I mean, it's the final battle. So we change into Primus. I grow, I roar. I'm an 8-foot-tall killing machine. I charge at the loggers. I see a young man in work overalls staring at me with a terrified expression, an axe raised in his hand. Well, we cannot use our last willpower on that. I'm sorry. I reach for his head and tear it off. The cops. Cops are running our way, shouting orders, batons. Batons raised, faces red with anger. I kill them. I smash into them and rip them apart one by one as their batons bounce off my skin. SWAT. It's a battle! I'm sorry. A SWAT team appears in full riot gear, their faces grim behind their visors, their guns ready to pepper us with rubber bullets. Oh, they only have rubber bullets. Well, oh, I can heal. Huh. What do I do? If I attack the enemy, we will lose health, but we don't know how much. That's the problem. I only have one willpower, so I should not use it yet. They will come worse. I think if I heal, though, they can charge at me. If I attack, I might die. It's a battle. I hurl myself at the enemy. They fight back. They hurt me, but I hurt them more. Only one, okay. I assess the situation. I was Homid, the human form, with keen eyes, nimble fingers, and a silver tongue, a wolf in sheep's clothing. I looked around the battlefield. The situation wasn't looking good. The police were pushing forward and the protesters were retreating. It wouldn't be long before they were cornered, beaten, and dragged off. We needed something to turn the tide. I thought, wait, what? I killed them all, didn't I? I decided to go back and save my friends. Pointed at the retreating minister. That'll be of no use if we kill him. Let's save the friends. The cops were closing in on a group of activists, heavily equipped men against teenagers, old women and clueless hipsters. Batons appeared above the crowd and then disappeared again. The air was heavy with pepper spray. The cops were angry and scared. Some of them didn't want to be there, and they weren't sure if they were doing the right thing. But orders were orders, and it was too late to back down now. So they fought harder to quiet their doubts. It was time to act. And I was fed up with overthinking it. I was Gaia's soul, and it was time to do what the spirits demanded. So I focused on protecting my friends. I started running. The cops reached for their pepper spray and tasers. It hurt. What? Now that takes 3 lives. That's really not fair. We just fought against a SWAT team and a taser kills me? That's so weird. Sometimes I think they force an outcome onto me without me being in charge of it. You know what I mean? They take as much as they need to. Even if I had full health, they would take it all just to make that end. I was Krynos, the war form. I grow, I roar. An 8-foot-tall killing machine. Pepper spray stings my nose and eyes, and the electric shock hurts. I push through until I'm standing between my friends and the police. I stand my ground. I brace myself and claw at the charging officer. There's many more of them, but I have time. Suddenly I realize that I'm still bleeding, and my wounds aren't healing anymore. There's pain and darkness. Yeah, now I have 0 health, although I was quite healthy. So I don't know. I don't know how long the epilogue will be, but I think I end the episode here, and then we end the series with the epilogue in the next episode, if that makes any sense. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Have a wonderful and adventurous day, and goodbye.